What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Try Time Podcast YouTube channel. I'm Callum, and here's the Huddersfield Giants 2024 Super League season preview. Right, first, before we get started, I just want to plug the playlist with all of these other teams in. This is the 5th team we are doing, but obviously we are going to do all 12 teams, so the playlist is linked down below to that. And yeah, I reckon let's just get straight into Huddersfield and who they've actually lost. So there's quite a few on this list. So we start off with Jack Ashworth, who's gone to Hull FC, Theo Farge, who's gone to Catalans, Will Price, who's gone to Newcastle Knights it is, of course, Josh Jones, who's retired, Adam O'Brien, who's gone to Halifax, Jermaine McGilvray, who's gone to Wakefield, Chris McQueen, who's retired, Nathan Peets, who's retired, George Roby, who's gone to Swinton, Owen Trout, who's gone to Lee, Innes Senior, who's gone to Castleford, Aidan McGowan, who's down at Bradford in the Championship on loan, and Nathan Mason's gone to the Corrymull Cougars. Now, there is, like I say, there's a lot of names there. And obviously, I think firstly, let's brush over the retired ones. So, Nathan Peets and McQueen, been great overseas exports, especially McQueen. Absolutely love McQueen. But obviously, they're at a point in their career where they want to retire and I imagine move back over to Oz. Whereas Josh Jones is a bit more of a weird one. Less expected, but it's happened and he's retired. And all three of them are going to be misses. They're experienced players in this Huddersfield team. Then you move on to some of the ones who you think, are they going to miss them as much? I mean, George Roby spent a lot of time last season. Well, he spent the whole season out on loan in the Championship last year, partly with Bradford and then, for the most part, with Swinton. So him earning a permanent move down there is fair enough. And I think Huddersfield can't say they've missed him because he's not really featured much for them. But it is what it is with that one. Then you've got a player like McGowan on loan at Bradford. Obviously, a player for the future for Huddersfield, getting some minutes down in the Championship can't be a bad thing. Obviously, you've got Will Price going to Newcastle. Obviously, the big young product, similar to what they had with Dom Young, gone overseas, kind of probably stayed longer than I expected, actually. But fair play to him going down under and seeing what he can do. And, I mean, he was an important player for Huddersfield, but I also think he wasn't like the be-all and end-all. He still definitely had things to go, and I think the Australian teams are picking up players who still have got a lot to develop rather than just buying the finished product nowadays, which I think Will Price is a great example of that. I think he'll be amazing in the future. Then you've got like your Owen Trout going to Lee. I think he's a big miss because he's a middle who just does a job for you. Same with Jack Ashworth, really. Two big middles who do a job, and I'm not surprised that they're still in Super League. You know, the Super League level middles, really. McGilvray, obviously the Huddersfield man, been at Huddersfield like forever, going to Wakefield. I get it. Would he have? They want to probably move away from him and what he's been. I mean, I still think he'd do a great job for him, but I guess it's not the biggest miss in the world, really. Obviously, we'll go on to how they've recruited and what their actual lineup's looking like going into next season later on in this video. Adam O'Brien to Halifax, spent a lot of the season on loan at Halifax. Makes sense. Probably at a point where he needs to step down to the Championship. Great player. Great Super League player in his time, but probably just time for him to take a step down. Nathan Mason, plagued with injuries, going over to Corrymull Cougars, a lower league team. Fair enough. Again, I don't think it's going to be the biggest miss for them. And yeah, I think that's everything. They've lost a lot, but have they lost a lot of substance? I think that's important. Let's see who they've actually brought in to replace these guys. So, we've got Thomas Deakin from the Roosters over in Australia, Adam Swift from Hull FC, Andre Cervello from Hull FC, Elliot Wallace from Castleford, Hugo Salabio from Wakefield, Jack Murchie from Parramatta, and Adam Clune from Newcastle. So as you can see there, I mean, let's start with the Super League base ones first. So you've got Adam Swift from Hull FC, great winger, Super League quality winger, played on the wing for Hull FC most last season. Like, he's that sort of level. Decent signing, I guess. He's going to do a job for you. Maybe nothing too outstanding, but he'll do a good job for you. Andre Cervello, again, similar sort of thing. Big middle. You know what you're going to get from him, and he just does a job. And I think you can't go wrong with some players like that in Super League, really. Elliot Wallace showed promise at Cass when given time. It'll be interesting to see if he does actually get a game at Huddersfield. I don't think he's going to be first choice on the wing, but I think if injuries or anything like that creep in, I could definitely see him getting some rugby in. And, you know, he's a young lad. Like, let's give him a chance. Let's give him a chance. Similar with Salabio, obviously, he's more of a middle. I think the nature of like props and that sort of position means he will get some game time. He's only a young lad. He showed good signs at Wakefield last season, but can he? Obviously, that Wakefield team were kind of a bit of a sinking ship at times. Can he do it in a established team. We'll find out, and best of luck to him. Right, now we move on to the 3 overseas guys, and it's like 3 overseas signings, and the 3 who are like, they're not even that experienced themselves in the NRL. They're not like big NRL names. Like a Chris McQueen was an experienced NRL player, Nathan Peets as well. Whereas these 3 guys aren't. Obviously, Deakin in that hooker role, replacing Peets, I guess. They've got Milner as well, so it'll be interesting to see how much he does play. But I think a good signing, still only young as well, so good for the future. If he can come over and do a job, amazing. Jack Murchie back row, I guess replacing McQueen, really. They've directly replaced them 2 players with overseas players. I think he should be good. Obviously, again, he's not played much NRL, so what do you know of him? What can you expect? But a player like that tends to have more to prove than an old guy who's come over from NRL, because he's not played much of it NRL. He wants to make a name of himself, make a name in Super League to then earn himself a good move back in NRL, I would imagine. And then Adam Clune, halfback. Do you know what to expect? I mean, we've had halfbacks are one of the most interesting positions when they come over from Australia, because they can click like Hastings, or they can absolutely fall to shit. So it's going to be interesting. All the best to Clune, who again, I think again, haven't played too much NRL either. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. Right, so let's go into a bit of a conclusion. So I think what I've just touched on, basically, the overseas signings are fairly inexperienced. Not much NRL games between them. It could pay off, or they could be out of their depth. Who knows? I mean, on the screen at the minute, you can see the actual full squad list for Huddersfield, so you can start to picture what their lineup or team's going to look like. They did underperform last season. They need to bounce back, really. People expected playoffs last year and they didn't deliver it. After getting to Challenge Cup final the year before, really expected them to kick on, and it just didn't happen. Hopefully it can happen this season for them. And as you can see in the team, they've lost a lot of experience, and it's a very young team. You look down them, that sort of the list of the players who, are not in the first 17 squad number-wise. They're coming in. There's a lot of young players there. Good young players like Fenton Rodgers. Obviously, I'm a Bradford fan. He was there with us last year. Unreal. I can't wait to see him in Super League, because he's absolutely unreal. What a player. So they've got players like that. They've got the youth there that just needs to come through and perform when given the chance. And I think they will. I think it's exciting for Huddersfield ultimately going forward. They've got a good, young, solid squad with little bits of experience in there, and good players obviously who've come over from Australia and stuff. But I just don't know what's going to happen this year. I think it's unlikely, in my opinion, that you will get playoffs. But I think you won't be anywhere near the bottom either. I think you'll be looking around that sort of 8th, 9th position, I'd probably predict. Obviously, we're going to have a big Super League preview pod with the predictions and stuff, so stay tuned for that. But ultimately, I think Huddersfield might just miss out on playoffs this year. But still, hopefully it can be a promising year with this young squad. Yep. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.